So I've been reading all different types of manga recently over the past couple months and putting Boruto and Naruto on the back burner, hence my severe lack of uploads. Sorry about that. For a few reasons I'll get into over the course of this video, but one of the main ones being to see if, in my opinion, it still holds up even after reading all of these other fan favorite or very popular series, and to see if I just had a bad case of the infamous insert series fan needs to read a second manga meme. So that's what I did. Before getting into the actual verdict of this 100+ day journey, it's crucial to the video I quickly go back and tell you all where I previously stood on the series as a whole, which if you are familiar with my content and watched a lot of my videos, it should come at no surprise that I loved and absolutely adored this sequel to the GOAT, Kishimoto's masterpiece of Naruto, and I've even stated numerous times that Boruto Next Generations, or Part 1 Boruto, was better than OG Naruto, which that in of itself is a controversial take. But if you don't know me and this is your first video of mine you're watching, hey there, my name is Miso. I read and collect manga, and drop a subscribe if you find yourself enjoying the content at any point during these 8 or so minutes. But beyond that, I've relentlessly defended Boruto, singing its praises on YouTube for well over a year, and before that was an avid enjoyer of both prequel and sequel series. And with Naruto being my absolute favorite thing ever, having even some of Boruto be ranked higher than it obviously propels this into a very high regard for me, despite the comments saying no one on God's green earth has Boruto in their top 5, let alone top 10. In the intro, I labeled this as a 100+ day journey, but that's actually a lie, and it's been much longer than that when I initially started this. You see, I was feeling burnt out after uploading weekly videos for a while, so I slowly started to phase out my consumption of the series, which was very tough. I stopped watching the creators I really liked, stopped rereading the chapters, which eventually turned into me not even reading leaks or anything Boruto related, and just focused all of that attention to different manga like Homunculus and Solo Leveling, just to name a couple, and my channel reflected this. If you go and look, it's been 7 months since my last weekly upload, which is crazy to even think about. Enough of me though, let's actually dive into the juicy details, starting with what I've been reading as a comparison and void filler that was left by giving up the Young Lord's journey, and starting with the two I've already mentioned, Solo Leveling and Homunculus, which one of them is in the same realm of Boruto, being how, you know, it is genuinely considered a shonen anime, which I did watch most of season 2 and then just speed ran through the manhwa online in like 2 days, which obviously this isn't a review video of the series, but it is good, and I think it does serve its purpose as a series, not being too deep with all these hidden nuanced meanings, and really just more about like entertainment and aura farming. Then there is Homunculus, which I'll be honest, I read the first omnibus and it shocked me. It was really good, you know, blah blah blah, drilling holes in head type beat. But other than that, I'll rattle off the others I've been into, being Pluto by Urasara and Tezuka, Hunter x Hunter by Togashi, Chojin X by Sue Ishida, Soul Eater by Atsushi Okubo, and Acid Town by Kyogu being the ones I've been reading, with many more being purchased to read if I continued on with my hiatus. With a video like this, there's a boatload of things to talk about and mention, which can't be squeezed into this single video, and since this is obviously a heavily opinionated topic, we might not see eye to eye on some of my changed viewpoints if I have any, but keep in mind, as much as I've brought up other series and even mentioned comparisons, my intention with this video is not to compare Boruto to all of these other series one-to-one or defend myself on previous opinions, but more of a, hey, I went out and read a bunch of other series to see if it would change how I initially viewed Boruto, with it being on the very small list of manga and anime I've ever consumed. And I'm not joking about this list being small. There is a shockingly low amount of manga I've read or even know about, and even the most popular ones out there, I couldn't even name more than 3 characters if my life depended on it. I guess let me answer the main question here, which is, has my opinion on Boruto changed after taking a break and reading the other series? Yes, but not in the way you might expect. Let's start with the sentiments that remained the same, and then after that I'll get into what changed in my opinions about Boruto as a series. So where should I begin? Let's see. Do I still love the Boruto series and believe it was basically one of the two best ways a sequel of Naruto could have been made? Yes I do. I think that's something I'll stand on until the end because it's been like what, 3,331 days since the release of the first chapter, and I've yet to see some sort of other idea other than the current Boruto, and one where the series takes place far in the future where Naruto and Sasuke are already dead and treated in high regard like Madara and Hashirama were, as a viable good way to create a sequel that would make some sense. I've already made a whole video called Is Boruto the Sequel We Wanted? Talking about this exact thing, so if you want to see more of my opinion and takes on that whole topic, go and check it out. It's a good watch, I promise you. Alright, do I still think it's one of the best quote-unquote new-gen manga? Which, let's just set this straight, when are we going to discuss what the requirements for new-gen manga is? Because at this point, I think it's just been blown way out of proportion, but regardless, looking at the state of how the other series who are commonly grouped into this title are going, or how it went, I'd comfortably say it is, and by a large margin at that. Black Clover is ending soon. Chainsaw Man Part 2 has been received poorly and doesn't have the same standard as Part 1 had. I don't even need to mention JJK. Sakamoto Days is still fire, but it should never be put in the same conversation as these others, on top of Demon Slayer's ending being controversial. Then we drop down to the other series like Kaiju number 8, which is ending, and Dawn to Dawn, which is rumored to be ending, leaving Boruto to stand alone on top during this time period despite being overly hated on. Lastly, not to drag this section on because I'm a very opinionated person, do I still think Boruto Part 1 is better than OG Naruto? That I might be swaying on now, but Part 1 Naruto deserves a reread, so I'll make a video on that soon, so this one is kind of iffy. Moving on to what in my mind has changed, and this is where things will get dicey. This first one is less of a change of opinion and more of a I understand where a lot of fans are coming from now, which is the monthly schedule. Like I said, this one is kind of a cow answer because I do still think the monthly chapter releases are fine and good, but it is crazy to see only a few chapters being released while I took this long hiatus from the series. And like I said in a previous video of mine, I think it was the Boruto Hate in 2025 one, go check that out if you haven't, but a bi-weekly chapter release would be another great option and could serve as a middle ground between the folks who want it weekly and the rest of us who enjoy the monthly wait. But you know, I don't dislike the current release time, just to make that clear. Lastly, let's discuss the art. A little longer than 10 months ago, I made a video called Does Boruto Have Bad Art?, where I talked all about how I felt about it at the time, so how exactly have my feelings been altered? Well, going from a manga like Homunculus or Tokyo Ghoul or Chojin X or even The Promised Neverland, you can clearly tell the differences in the pages due to the shading and atmosphere of those manga compared to that of Boruto, which let me say though, that's not entirely a bad thing. I can understand that going from a series heavily dependent on realism and shading to Boruto could be seen as jarring solely due to that lack of shading. Don't get me wrong, Ikemoto's art fits Boruto perfectly in my opinion, and the, in comparison, lack of ink on paper in Boruto massively helps the ease of reading and being able to comprehend what is actually going on within the fights, which is a huge criticism I have of other certain manga that I will not name, but that's just something Boruto will never struggle with. So technically, while my opinion of Boruto's art being great and not bad remains the same, I would be lying if I didn't want some more shading once in a while. That's all I have for you guys today. If you liked this video, check out my other ones. I'd be dropping some heat, trust me. And yeah, join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, and have a good day.